Hello and welcome to another episode of Industry Celebrities and Texas Apartment Association Education Foundation Room to Grow podcast series and collaboration. That's a lot to say. My name's ThatKimberly, also known as Kimberly Scott, and I am here today with our guest, Jason Cantu. Is that right?
That's right.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Well,
you.
Jason, I really appreciate your time and joining us today and sharing your story about how you found the apartment industry or the apartment industry found you, either one. So
Yes.
Give the guests a little bit of context, background story about who you are, where you're from.
Okay. I'm currently in Lubbock, Texas. If you guys know where that's at, home of the Red Raiders.
Yes.
Go Tech.
Go Tech, yeah.
Originally, though, from Houston, Texas. Little town closest to me was Pasadena.
Oh, I know where that's at.
They called it Stinkadena down there.
Yes. Yeah. Do you like the Texans then?
Yes, I love the Texans.
Oh, me too.
So yeah, it's hard up here in West Texas. Yeah. Everybody's Dallas.
Oh yeah.
Well, now everybody's a Chiefs fan because of Mahomes.
I'm from El Paso, Texas, so that's even worse. We're as west as you can get, and all you had was Cowboys or the Raiders, and that was it to choose from. So
yeah, so
that's funny.
So yeah, so I graduated, and I wanted to go far away from, I guess, home, or I kind of wanted to get out of Texas, and then I found about out-of-state tuition, and that brought me back into Texas.
Yes. Always
and
does.
And I found out about, Red Raiders, and they recruited me really well and gave us really exciting stuff. And interesting, I never even stepped a foot in Lubbock till the day I was going to go and sign up for classes. I was kind of in shock that there was nothing out there. I found out we were a dry county when I came.
Oh, you didn't even know what that was, right?
I didn't know what that was. My mom was like, yeah. But I will tell you, since then, I mean, we've jumped leaps and bounds in Lubbock, and it's the place to be. We have a lot of people come in, and makes my industry and what we do really booming right now.
Yeah.
And so currently I work for a company called Tigris Real Estate, and I'm the Associate Director of Property Management, which basically means I do a lot of operation overseeing. So I'm kind of the bridge between the manager and the maintenance team, and I help them solve issues with usually bigger issues, inspections, stuff of that nature.
Okay.
So I've been doing that.
Well, but how did you go from, Red Raiders, college graduation to that? I mean, they don't just hire you at that level. Not that I know of, but.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no. So I graduated college just like every other college student. I think at that age, I was like, oh, surely the job offers are going to be coming, in my inbox or wherever. They're just going to be coming at me, and was sadly mistaken. And I actually my degree was in human development and family services, excuse me.
Okay.
And so I got my bachelor's in that. And so when I was recruiting for jobs, it was kind of hard because I didn't really have any specific industry training like most of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually recruited for tech as an undergrad recruiter for my college of human sciences. And so I used that experience to get a job recruiting for a technical school, because one of my big passions is education. So I thought that would be perfect fit. I get to go talk to these high school kids and help them make a career choice and give them information to do that.
Yeah, to figure it out beforehand.
Yes. So I recruited for a company called Wild Tech, which is an automotive training school. And I would go to different mechanical classes and talk to them and kind of give them all the info. And I did that for like 2 or 3 years. And I got to the point where, it was just real salesy, and they expected more, and it just wasn't a good fit anymore. So I decided to go to grad school like everybody else.
Wow. So, that's a lot of school.
Yeah. So I go back to grad school, and I was going to be in education. I was going to do 8th grade math, and I started student teaching, and I just didn't fall in love with it. It just wasn't what I thought I had imagined, I guess, in my head. And so while I was doing that, I needed work, obviously, because I was a grad student. I needed money. So I found a position doing part-time leasing. And the only thing I knew about apartments back then was, I lived in them, obviously.
What year was this? You don't mind me asking.
This was 2006.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been doing this about 13, 14 years. So I got in there. I did a part-time. I was like, this is perfect. It's part-time. I can go in there. They sold me when I interviewed with them. They were saying, there's commission-based leasing. So I was like, oh, I get money for every lease. And they're like, yeah. I was like, great. Cause that motivates me. So I was like, yeah, definitely. I'll do this. And I'd already had the recruiting background, so I wasn't terribly shy of touring
Yeah.
people around, helping them find a home. I sold cars for a little bit on the
Oh,
side
that's
too.
tough. And that's a tough gig. But
Yeah.
so you had sales background, you're customer service
Yeah.
oriented. You could talk to
So I was like, this
people.
is a good fit. And
Yeah.
so, but then I got in there and I was like, wow, this is, I went in there with one attitude, but then when you get in there, like most of us in this industry, you find out that it's more than just showing apartments.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually finding people homes,
Yeah.
and people are, really picky, which they should be. And it's a
Yeah.
lot of selling yourself. And, it was a great experience. And I
Mm-hmm.
kind of, like I said, at first I thought this was just to get me through grad school, but then I
Little did
just,
you know.
yeah, little did I know that this is a great fit for me. It's
Yeah.
service oriented, which I love helping people. And
Mm-hmm.
it was just it was just awesome. So I decided to give it a shot, and I stuck with it. Kind of got out of grad school and just kind of started doing this full time. One of the things me and you were talking about before we got on is the transferability of it. And so I
Mm-hmm.
was, I started at one property. I thought it was my home base, and just like some of us in the industry, we get moved around and
Mm-hmm.
shuffled,
Yeah.
and I
Because
got
properties,
shuffled.
just for people who
Yeah.
don't understand, is properties do sell, and
Hmm.
then they take the consideration of the employees, and they either keep them or they give them the opportunities to go somewhere else, or sometimes people just leave by themselves because they don't like that transition. But there's lots of
Yeah.
options when a property does get sold, and so you do get to see and do other things at other properties for sure, in other cities or states or whatever. So
Yeah, no, definitely. And so it was really neat to just learn different properties from my
mhm,
same company. So it was really nice, but they would
that's
just
good.
kind of shuffle us. And I think it was our philosophy, so we wouldn't get too mundane
Hmm.
or caught up with just, oh, the same routine. And so it was kind of a cool philosophy. Now that I think about it, that I'm older, at the time I was like, they're just shuffling us around. But it was a great experience to work under different managers,
Hmm.
and it was just
Different
really
residents,
different residents,
different types of
different
communities,
different
right?
traffic,
Hmm.
or residents coming in, leads. It was really neat. And so that gave me kind of a well-rounded experience for for what it is. And then, you know, starting to think about what I want to do next. Cause once you decide, hey, I want to do this,
Hmm.
then you start investigating or researching about the careers,
Yeah, your career path.
your career path. And
Yeah.
then that's kind of where I went. And then, luckily I had a good mentor, I would say, and a young guy, I'm gonna call him young, Jeff Lowry. And I was working, he was with the same company I was at the time. And so
Ma-
I came to him and said, I want an assistant manager position. I'm
uh-huh.
ready. And he took a chance on me, and
Yeah.
he gave me, and he paired me up with one of my greatest mentors, David Davis. And David Davis taught me a lot about how to manage people and how to really do this. And then
Hmm.
at the point in 2012, I got an opportunity, was kind of recruited to come to this other company I am with now.
Hmm.
And I came in as an assistant manager, and I kind of, showed them what I could do. And then they're the ones who gave me the opportunity to move up to property management.
Yeah.
And in property management, and then I kind of unique to me, I think I kind of created my own position that I have now, because as a property manager, I was doing things that I guess, at least in our industry or where we're at, people weren't doing. I would go out after hours or show up early before work, and I would sweep the parking lot when we had too much asphalt rock on the curbs.
Yeah, that's
I
going above and beyond.
I had one maintenance guy, but we were brand new builds, so we're brand
Oh,
new.
okay. Okay. You do a little of everything at a brand new property for sure. Different hats all
Yeah.
the time. Everybody does. I know
Yeah,
that.
definitely. And so I would, and so help my maintenance guy started learning, hey, I'm going to paint the doors for you, because I know there's a lot to paint and to do
Hmm.
maintenance orders and all that stuff. And so I just started taking on tasks like that. I learned how to clean a pool. And then eventually they're like, oh, you're pretty good at this. So I kind of got on the operations side. So that's where I'm
Hmm.
at now.
That's awesome. Talk a little bit about when you mentioned that you realized that this is where you wanted to be,
Hmm.
your educational path of things that the apartment industry as a whole, because I did notice, I did a little bit of research and saw that you do have some of your designations. Can you just talk a little bit about that, as far as, that opportunity for people who maybe not have a college degree, that they could still get trained, in our industry?
Yeah, that's probably the best thing about it. I mean, I know they do have some college courses I found out that you could take in real estate and multifamily. But really, if you just are willing to put in the work, the NAA, the TAA, all of them have great programs that allow you to get that education you need. Like you're talking about, like the NALP. I still have mine, even though I'm not full-time leasing anymore.
But still,
I still have my
you
leasing.
earned it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So I keep
sometimes
it.
companies pay for that,
Yes. Yeah.
So it's definitely something that I feel a lot of people don't understand, especially coming out of high school, and that they're confused. They don't know, I always recommend to my nieces and nephews, even though they chose to, a lot of them take the college route, but I'm like, hey, just get your foot in the door, go and apply. And you never know, and they'll train you, you
Yes.
got to start somewhere though,
Yeah, and even on the maintenance side, I've been seeing, and I applaud, I think the Austin Association and maybe Houston as well, I've read, they're doing these where they're bringing them in and training them in order to get positions. And
Yeah.
that's awesome because we always need good maintenance technicians.
Yes. I'm a double agent. So I'm a renter that also is in the apartment industry. So I can definitely vouch to the maintenance guys are the first line of defense.
Yes.
You get sold on the property and you move in, but if you don't get things fixed in a timely manner, or they don't have empathy about when something is broken, and they don't make some sort of
effort,
yeah, that's all they need. Empathy first is empathy for me, and then comes some effort. Then that can make or break the experience for a renter. So good. I always think back to my grandfather, who could fix anything, and also was a mechanic. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I miss that part. Rest his soul. But you know what I mean? I miss that side of, having that go-to. But then at the same time, that's why I live in an apartment, because I want things fixed.
The convenience. Yeah.
Yeah, convenience for sure.
No, for sure. Yeah. And then that's what we're missing in those guys that, these electricians. I think, I talked to my maintenance technicians, and they said the thing they love about it is they're a plumber, electrician, they're HVAC techs. I mean, they get to do it all instead of just a routine. If you're just a plumber, you're just doing plumbing things. And I think that's who it's for. This field is for guys that like to tinker with the little everything, woodwork, cabinetry. I mean,
and they can get more training on those things as they like it, because I do know some supplier partners that are on the maintenance side, like maintenance supply headquarters. They train their teams, the maintenance guys, on certain products, certain things that change, certain regulations. And that is huge for those people that are coming in on the maintenance side that enjoy fixing stuff but aren't quite sure if they're doing it right, so that training is there on all levels. So I think that's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your local association. When you first got in to the apartment industry, do you remember attending, or what event do you remember attending at your local that then led you to get involved, at your state and so on? Like, is there a certain...
Probably the chili cook-off, I would say.
That's pretty cool. The chili cook-off where?
We here in Lubbock, the association puts a chili cook-off for our community service.
Awesome.
And we raise money, for different charities and stuff like that. But I think that was my first, we got invited. The company said, yeah, everybody needs to go. And just to see, and that's the really cool thing about our industry I love, is that all the different companies, and associations and in TAA, we all come together, and it's just so neat that I have so many colleagues that don't work with my company, but that I can call at any time and just bounce ideas off. And when I saw that association, I was like, wow, there's a support group within a support group. You have your company, and then you have this bigger support group of people in our industry. And, and then even the suppliers, our partners in this industry, they were there with support and just giving, helping us out and helping a cause. And I was like, I want to be involved with that. And then, you started the education. My company that I was first with was big on education. So you need to get this NALP. And then when it went from there, then it was like, I want to get the next one. I want to get the next one. And that's for me personally, that's how it ended up. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what would you say that you like the most about the apartment industry?
For me, education, I just love learning. I just,
Mm-hmm.
and the technology that's coming is just, it just fascinates me. And like you were saying, my big thing, I try to tell my managers, to me, it's a lot easier to keep our residents. So I'm always looking for ways to wow them, and ways to take care of their needs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just very, very, very cool. And what we're talking about before with the transferability, just to know that this is not going anywhere. Everybody needs a home. It's just
Oh
getting
yeah,
bigger.
we are recession proof people.
Yes. And so, these people that are coming out of some of these techs, and other industries that are kind of like AI is taking their positions. You're hearing about that, and then
Mm-hmm.
campaigns that even when you go to McDonald's, you're talking to a screen now. You're not even talking to a
Mm-hmm.
human, the banks. So I think this industry, if you're looking for something long term,
Mm-hmm.
this is the industry to get. I mean, this
Yeah.
is one of the top ones.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely want to, that's the
Yeah.
whole, reason behind podcast, and the Room to Grow
Yeah.
series is to let more people know and to consider us first. There's so much room to grow, whether it's on the management side
Yeah.
or it's on the supplier partner side. You pick, and at any level, at any expertise, there is something for everyone
Mm-hmm.
in our industry, for sure. What advice would you tell someone if they were wanting to change jobs, or they were unhappy, or they just got out of school and they weren't sure, like, about getting into multifamily?
The biggest thing is just do your research, and reach out, talk to somebody. I mean, everybody I've met, yourself included, just been so helpful. The association, time anybody reaches out to me, I kind of point them to, if they're locally, I tell them to local association. We have
Mm-hmm.
job boards.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest advice, is if you're interested in something just a little, just reach out and get that information, because you might be surprised. Like you said, a fit. A lot of
Yeah.
people question, will I fit in this industry?
Mm-hmm.
But like we were talking about, we go out and recruit. If I run across a great retail customer service person to help me find something I needed, and they were great attitude, I'll usually give them my card and say,
Yeah.
hey, if you're looking at something else more permanent, because a lot of them are part-time.
Yeah. And they work weekends and they work nights,
Yeah, we
which we
don't.
don't. Which we do. I mean, we do if we want to, but we don't
Yeah.
have
Or
to.
managers, I say I'm always on call,
Yeah.
but if we delegate right,
Yeah. And we take holidays off. I mean, they're
Yeah.
slower than other times. It's not like full blown, like if you're in the retail business where it's like you're open
Yeah.
closing at
Yeah.
midnight and you're open at 8 a.m. Like, that's just
Yeah.
not us.
And even though it seems routine,
Yeah.
every day is not the same. Never.
No,
I've never had
ever.
the same day ever.
Correct. I do appreciate that excitement of always there's something different
Yeah.
and never the same going on, and that there's so much to learn still.
Yeah.
When people reach out to me because they have someone that they like, somebody who's in the Northeast or on the West Coast, and they are coming to Texas, they'll say, hey, my friend's looking for either an apartment. I'm like, well, I'm not a locator, but I can, let me direct you on where to go. And I give them management companies' websites to go and check out in that city. And then, or if they are looking for a job, I'm like, send me your resume. And then I connect them with someone that if they came from like customer service oriented, I'll, just send it to some friends. Or I also let that person know, hey, there are staffing agencies that they staff people, and this is where you can start. It might not be the best, starting out for you because you don't have the experience, but it's going to be a better pay than, going to work at McDonald's. Not that McDonald's is bad, but if you don't want to go back that route and you want, real hours, and, even better than retail, if you want better hours, then here's something. If you could just wait a little while, and you're going to get commissions and you're going to get moved up if you're doing your job and doing it well, for sure.
Yeah. And I think, one of the other things we don't talk about much is the appreciation. Like it's so awesome. And we're in a college town, so I get a lot of grad students, undergrads, and, getting that letter from a mom saying, thank you for taking care of my daughter for the 2 years she was there, making sure she had everything she needed, and stuff like that is just like, you can't buy that, it's just, it's just something that's part of our industry that a lot of people don't get to experience.
Yeah, and it makes you feel good to know that you
Yeah.
did something good like that for someone else, that they really took the time for them to take the time and say thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually when they move out there, it's more
It
butting
can
heads.
can go either way, but
But when you get those ones that really appreciate you, which is more than not, we just focus
yeah.
on negativity as, sometimes, but there's a lot of positive that comes from, what you do, what we do in this industry.
Yeah, for sure. So one of my last questions is, what's the best advice that was ever given to you by a mentor that you can remember?
Yeah.
For you?
I'm not sure it's quite what you're talking about, but the biggest thing that I try to live my life by now that I'm in the position I'm at is they told me, when I was going into management, assistant manager, he said, basically, you want to train people to take your job.
There you go.
Plain and simple.
Yep.
Because, you can't move up unless you can have somebody fill your spot.
Mm-hmm.
And so that changed my whole thought process of how I go about stuff now. And I try not to do too much, do it for them. I want to start showing them how to do stuff as a manager now, because that's the thing is I want people to grow in this industry. That's the goal.
Yeah.
So I can grow.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta, water them and let them grow like, same way. But that was the best advice I got. My mindset, because as manager, I was real, I want to do it my way, do everything. And some of us get stuck in that. And I think that was a wake up call. It's like, that makes sense to me. It's like one of those things that's just like light bulb. Like,
Well,
if I'm going to move up, I need to have somebody fulfill my spot in what I do.
And you're watering that flower. Those people will remember you. You're learning as much from them as you're teaching them. It's a win-win situation. And they will definitely, as they move up and as you move up, they'll follow you anywhere because of, how you made them feel. People always remember how you make them feel. So that's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
So tell the listeners how they can connect with you if they have any questions on, coming into the industry, anything, whether it's your email, social media, how they can connect with you.
Yeah, if you want to get me in a timely manner, it's email. Because one of my New Year's goals resolution is to be more social media savvy this year and try to post more and maybe interview somebody on your podcast.
Maybe become a host on the TAAEF podcast.
I need to do more. I have a LinkedIn and I have a Facebook, but honestly, like the best way to get a hold of me is going to be Jason, JASON C at Tigris, TIGRIS LLC.net.
Okay.
And that'll be direct to my email and I'll respond. I get those straight to my phone. So,
okay.
But awesome. I'd love to visit with anybody about what I do, what the industry, how to get started. I mean, I love it. So
that's good. That's great. So you heard it. If you want to get a hold of Jason, you can email him, which we'll leave in the show notes, and also hook up his LinkedIn profile so you can connect with him as well. Yeah. And if any of Jason's thoughts, suggestions brought value to you, or someone that needs to hear them, maybe tag them in the comments or send this episode to them and share it with them, because sharing is caring.
Yes, ma'am.
And until next week, remember, there is always room to grow in multifamily. Thanks so much, Jason. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Kim.